Hey guys, today's video is about Extrons, but not one of their head units. It's actually one of their awesome flip down monitors, which is going to be great for camper vans, cars, kitchen cabinets, or anything which is ceiling mounted, which I'm going to show you now. Now, if you frequent my channel, you've probably seen multiple Extrons reviews on their various head units. They are one of the biggest brands of Android head unit manufacturer, mainly because they sell their products on Amazon. So there's a lot of trust behind that brand. They do make various other in-car technologies as well, including these flip down monitors of varying sizes and colors. Also, they do varieties which just have video inputs, and some of them which have built-in Android operating systems as well. Now, I've opted for one that doesn't have a built-in Android operating system. This is just a standard flip down 1080p monitor. I'm going to be installing it in my studio here as a video review monitor. And it's going to have a secondary benefit of covering up a hole in my ceiling, which was caused by a leak in the asbestos roof. There's a big hole right here, and what I could do is just fill it in like a normal person and fix it, or I can place this screen over the hole and get a secondary benefit of actually having a monitor that can help me with my studio work. Now, before we get into all of that, let me remind you that I don't get paid to endorse any company or product, including this Extrons product. So this video is going to be very much about my opinion when installing and using this product. Right, let's do an unboxing. And here it is. Quite a mammoth of a device. This is the 17-inch version that I've got here, which is one of the largest, I think it is the largest offering that they do. They do 10-inch ones, 13-inch ones, 15-inch ones, and 17-inch ones. So this is probably the biggest one that they do. Now, you can see that it has these LED strips all the way around them. And that is one of the cool features of it. Also, it has these touch buttons along the front here. These also light up. On the left side here, you can see that it has a HDMI port, a USB port, and a micro SD card slot. And then if we flip it up and have a look on the underneath, we can see the mounting plate, which is this silver plate here. And then we have the various connections. So it has two sets of analog video and audio input, composite video ins. We got the power wires, ignition live, the permanent 12-volt connection, and the ground wire. And then we have the wires marked door minus and door plus. So this is supposed to be mounted upside down on the ceiling. So if you can see here, it has a release switch. So look, I'm gonna hold it up, press the release switch, and you can see that the screen has now released, and we can just pull it down now. A 17-inch drop-down screen, 1080p, that's going to be amazing. So there's a few things that I need to take into consideration for this installation. This was meant for car use. It is a 12-volt system, but Extrons do sell a 12-volt mains power adapter so that you can utilize this within a household. Now, the second thing, obviously, I do not want to have a load of cables hanging down from my ceiling. So one of the other things I'm going to have to do is route the cables inside the ceiling and down the inside of my walls. And I'm going to have a faceplate on the wall, which is actually going to have the connections for this unit. So it's going to look very professional, very nice. I have ordered from Amazon a wall-mounted HDMI socket thing. So that is what I'm going to be utilizing for this install as well. Okay, so here it is installed in the ceiling. It is now powered on. So I'm going to now peel this thing off here. That was satisfying. So we have a light button here, so if I tap that, we get blue LEDs on either side, which is pretty cool. And this switch here is for the door switch. So there's 3 modes like you'd normally get in a car. If you push it all the way to the left, it's always on. If you switch it all the way to the right, then it'll only turn on when the doors are open, and then in the middle it's just switched off. Okay, we're supposed to be better open it then. So this button here, push it, and then we can bring it down Just remove this protection screen as well. And then we'll press the power button to switch it on. And everything has gone green now, and the Extrons logo has come up. I actually haven't got it connected to anything at the moment. So I think what I'm going to do to start with is connect it to my PC. Okay, so I've established that there is no speakers in this unit at all. What it does actually have is an FM transmitter, which I can show you by going into the menu here and into these options here where it says FM radio. You can actually change the frequency in which this can transmit. Obviously it's designed to work in a camper van or a car where you'll have a radio, and it just so happens of course that I have a car radio in my jukebox over here, so I can hear audio from the videos going to my jukebox. That's how it works. So as you can see, videos are actually very good. They're very, very sharp indeed, and the color of this screen is actually rather good as well. I don't mind saying it. It does make the image look really, really good. It's very, very sharp, and the contrast ratio is great as well. So I really, really like that. This of course is a PC connected to it, which is what I had to hand, but what you could do is connect a games console. If you've got an Xbox or a PlayStation, you can just connect those up to the HDMI as well and play them on a large screen. So the next thing I want to show you is the ability to play back movie files on a USB stick. So I'm just going to plug the USB stick in up here. The next thing is we change this to USB. This is all free of the remote control that came with it. And there we go, it's found my Rick and Morty files, and it's now playing Rick and Morty, so that's a really handy thing. You could just stick some movies on a pen drive, stick it in the side, and you have access to them straight away. Let me just see if I can find a way to actually look at the files. Here we go, so you can see the files on the USB stick. They are all Rick and Morty's, and you can see the resolution and everything that they've been recorded in here, in this little section here. It actually plays the video in the little section as well. That's cool. So that's pretty cool. And obviously fast forward, next track and everything is accessible via this remote control as well. Now, the card is going to be identical because it's just another way to put files into this unit. I don't need to show you that. You just put the files on that instead of USB, and it will read them nice and easy. And obviously the other thing is AV1 and AV2. The AVs are those analog connections. No one really uses those these days. However, if you did have it in your car or your camper van, a lot of the Android head units have AV outputs, and that would be very useful for the AV input on this particular device. So it could show what's ever on your Android head unit on this display if you wanted to do that. And when I'm done with it, it's a simple matter of turning it off and closing it, and it's done. Awesome. And I could leave the blue lights on if I wanted to as well. This is just a monitor, but they do these which actually have Android built into them, and that means that it's a smart device and you can run Netflix and everything without the need of an Amazon Prime stick or something like that. Anyway, pretty cool. I'll put a link in the description if you want one. If there's any questions you have on these devices, let me know, and I will answer them in the comment section when I get an opportunity. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to have to do is get the mounting bracket onto the ceiling. So what I'm going to do is open this and flip it over like so, and we can see that there's these 6 rubber screw covers, so that's what we're going to lift up now. And now that we've done that, we can release the 6 screws holding it in place. Now that we've done that, we can lift this off. But before I fit it to the ceiling, what I'm going to do is thread some power cable through this hole and across and down where I need it to actually be. Okay, so the first point of call here was trying to get this mounting bracket up here, but this did cause a problem because it actually covers the hole, and we need somewhere to put the wires. So what I've done is I've drilled a hole in this piece of MDF that we've got up here, and that's where we're going to have the wires coming through. Now the second point of call, of course, is the wiring itself, and that is where we extend the wires to where we want them to go. We know that this thing needs power. Power is 2 wires, it's live and negative, so we have a live and negative cable here. I'll show you where I'm running them in a second. And I've put this third wire here because I want to make use of the door light that it has built into it. Remember, in normal circumstances, the door light would go to the bulb for your internal lighting in a car or a camper van, so that when you open the doors, the light on the actual device will come on as well. Well, I want to make use of that light, so I'm going to put a switch on this so that I can switch the door light on and off whenever I see fit. So that's what that third wire is. And you can probably see that I've got a HDMI cable sort of hanging down over here. And the reason for that is because, annoyingly, Extrons have put the HDMI on the outside of the unit. You really don't want to have a wire hanging down from your ceiling going to whatever device that you want. So I'm not really sure why they've done it this way. It's not really a big deal for me, because what I'm going to do is literally just plug it in from the ceiling so that there's no wires coming down. I'll find a neat way of doing that. But now that I have the wires up and ready, I'm going to put the actual plate on here, something like this, and then we'll go from there. So I think we're going to put it around here. Now what I've done is I've put a bit of wood on the other side of the plasterboard, and I'm going to screw it into that to make sure it's strong. And this side, as you can see, has already got some MDF sitting there. That's going to make sure that it's going to stay in place. And now the edge of the screen is about 9 centimeters from these holes, so I don't want it to overlap the light, obviously, so I'm just being aware of where I want to put this. It is 8 centimeters from the front as well. Right, so now we need to do some wiring up. I've just stacked some boxes up here to try to get this as close as possible to the hole in the ceiling, and we will start wiring them up. So the yellow and the red wire, which is the permanent live, and the ignition on wire, the accessory wire as it were, we're going to twist them together because the two of them make the power that we need for this unit, and we're going to connect them to the positive wire that we have hanging from the ceiling. And just stick some insulating tape around this for the time being. If we're happy with it all, we will use a soldering iron and insulate it properly with some heat shrink. So the black ground wire will go to the neutral wire on that same one, and finally this additional wire that we have here will go to the door positive wire, so I can tell the unit when to switch that particular light on. So the wire that I won't be using is the door neutral wire, so I'm just going to stick some insulating tape on that. And obviously I don't own anything that actually has analog video connections, so I'm not going to be using any of those either. So now it's time for us to try to hide some of these wires in the ceiling. And now we're going to close it. Now before we go into all the rest of the wiring, there's one last thing that I need to do whilst I'm up here, and that is deal with the HDMI, which I've got over here coming out of another hole that I've got in the ceiling which I need to fill. Now I can just plug it in like this, but what I'm probably going to do is just make another hole here and feed it through and just keep it neat. Okay, so you can see it up there now, so I'm going to show you what I did with the wires. So they are above the plasterboard ceiling in here, and they are actually in here. So what I'm going to do is power it via 12 volts inside this little cubby hole situation.